This isn't just another podcast. We're crushing the taboos and we're rewriting the rules. It's the space where we normalize women becoming wealthy. If you're done playing small and ready to become the CEO of your life and the architect of your future, then my girl, you're in the right room. Welcome to your wealthy era. Welcome to the Wealthy CEO podcast. In today's episode, I'm joined by Lee Marie Jacobs, a spiritual wealth mentor, author of Beautiful Money and Auric Living, and the founder of Spiritual, a global movement helping women create wealth with soul. She's built a multi-seven-figure business, been featured in Forbes and Glamour, and is here to share how women can align their health, purpose, and finances to build true freedom. Today, I am so excited to welcome Lee to the show. Thank you, girl, for being here. It's so good to see you.
You too. It's been a while.
I wanted to actually ask you this before we came on. Where are you tuning in from today?
We're in Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Yes.
Because you're always somewhere. If it's not Nevada, it could be Huntsville up in like the Muskokas up in Ontario. Mm-hmm. You could be down in Toronto doing a speaking engagement. So I'm like, where are you right now?
Yeah, I feel like when I send you a message, that's also the first thing I ask you.
I know. And like,
which I love. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So good. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I am really excited to dive in to your story and a lot of the different elements of your journey that, of course, have made up who you are today, and also the work you're doing and how you're serving. Yeah. Before we kind of dive into today, I want to talk a little bit about from corporate to your calling. Like you started your career in the corporate world with big brands like L'Oreal and Nike before shifting into entrepreneurship, which I'm sure some people thought you were crazy because when you're working with big brands like that, there's almost like job security.
Yes.
And then shifting into entrepreneurship, which can feel very unknown and uncertain and scary, and therefore not maybe safe or secure. So let's start there. And I would love to know, like, what was the moment when you knew you had to leave this traditional safe path to follow your soul, your calling?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think one of I don't know if it's a benefit or a plus, but I didn't have children when I hit that fork in the road. I was, I think, 27. My dad was a lawyer and my dad was very traditional. And he had also seen, his dad kind of make a leap of faith into the world of entrepreneurship, and it didn't turn out so well.
Right.
So that left, opinions of others. My dad was like, but you're going to lose your pension and your health benefits and everything that makes in the physical world somewhat the illusion of security.
Right.
And it wasn't easy, I will say, but I always ask myself the bigger picture question first. Like, if in 10 years I'm still doing this, I will bawl my eyes out. It was more my soul started to hit harder. And when you're listening to we all have a soul purpose here. And sometimes you're here for chapters to learn things. So you are meant to be in a chapter. But when it's at the end, if you're tuned in to your soul mandate, you start getting signals and whispers from your body. And that's why I love Gabor Mate's work so much, right? When the body says no. Or there's a wonderful book called The Body Reveals. Like, you learn to use your body somewhat as a pendulum. And my body started to signal that it was time to move, time to pivot. And because I'm so tuned in, like at that time I was also a Pilates instructor. And so I was so connected to my body, and I was like losing my hair, losing weight. My skin was like breaking out. I did not look healthy. And I was like, I'm just not listening to my intuition. Right. Even though it's scary, my body full on was like, it's time for a shift.
Right.
So it was very scary, but at the same time, what I did, because I also am very analytical and I started my career in engineering in university, my analytical side was like, okay, best case scenario is that I thrive as an entrepreneur and I'm all good.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case is that I have to go live with family members.
Right.
And I was like, that's not the end
It's
of
not the end of the world.
No.
Yeah.
So in my brain, worst case scenario wasn't that bad. So I was like, we only live once. This is not a rehearsal.
Yes.
And why do we want to live beneath our potential in safe and cozy? There are chapters for that. Right. But I was like, I'm 27 and I want to see why my soul is here.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the leap of faith. It wasn't easy, but if you surround yourself with people who are on path with you,
right,
and you have even one friend who's a little on the same page, one mentor. You don't need 20 friends.
Yeah.
Everyone can disagree with you. I had that one person, that one mentor. And once you do it, you're like, why didn't I do it 10 years before?
Right. Yeah. No kidding. And like taking the bet on yourself, like betting on yourself. Right.
And I also knew like if I wanted to go back to corporate, I could. Not once did I
look back.
I couldn't. Physically, I was like, would I consult or yes, still engage? But I just knew that chapter was done for me.
Mm. So let me ask you, because, you know, you can feel that what you're currently doing is not for you and that your soul is calling something. You have a soul purpose. It might not be where you're currently planted right now. And you could be asking similar questions as you were in your 20s, like, am I really on my true path? And I think some women listening can really resonate with that. And we've all been stuck at one point or another, or feeling like we're out of alignment with what we want. But so many of us lack how to find the clarity of what it actually is, right? It's easy to be like, I don't want this, this, and this. I don't want my life to look like this. I don't want to be in what, fill in the blank. But then to go to the other side and say, I want to step into, I want to become, I want to pursue, can be really hard for some people.
The challenge that we have is that we're conditioned and educated from being born.
Totally.
That we are just a physical body. And so the only thing developed is physical looking good and the intellect.
Right.
That can only get you so far in your joy and happiness. And this is why most women are broken. Like I mentor women daily and most women are fractured right now.
Right.
A lot of them, it's the emotional body that is broken. And the reason for that is not just timing in the world and all the wild things going on. It's that we've never been trained how to nurture our spiritual body, our emotional body, our mental body, our vital body. We are only conditioned to nurture looking good, physical body, and intellect, like pump the intellect with knowledge. Right. So yeah, you can get to the top of that ladder where you make a ton of money, you have an awesome job, everyone thinks you're so great, but you're miserable. You're fully medicated and you can't find inner peace. That's not success.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's what women are conditioned to go for.
Right. On top of, we live in the era of constant distraction, of inundated. I mean, you brought up information, but like Instagram, especially for females, is one of the most toxic places you could hang out. You know, between everything you just said, like that's what was coming up for me as you were saying that, between the image and how we're supposed to look and our bodies, and then the information overload that we're like inundated. It's like Instagram versus reality.
It's such a facade. And unfortunately for women, it puts them in a trap of misery because not like you said the perfect world. We're being trained and conditioned every second to be distracted. So we can never enjoy our kids, our vacation, our day job, the moment, because, and it's not just our fault. You know, like I go to friends' houses sometimes and it's like the home is smarted up, right? Like having you can see like when you look in people's eyes, like no one's present.
Right.
And it's not just our fault.
Right.
You know, it's been kind of ingrained in us for decades. But unfortunately, it's so misaligned with natural law that women are broken.
Right. So let me ask you, in just saying all of that, for that woman who feels stuck or out of alignment, what practices do you either employ or do you even advise that can help women really find their clarity for then being able to step into purpose, like, or what they actually really want to do? Like, clarity is so hard for a lot of women.
That's a great question. So I think there's a couple of things, and hopefully this will help women listening. The most important thing is you got to take a little time out to listen to your intuition and soul, because you usually know why you're not happy. You usually know what you're avoiding doing because it's scary.
Right.
Whether it's leaving a relationship, quitting a job, changing a friend circle, all of these things take courage. But there's something that your intuition has been, your soul has been trying to get your attention, and you're avoiding it because it's a bit scary, or because it triggers a trauma or a fear, which is, I won't have security and I'm not good enough, especially for women.
Yeah.
So those two fears keep women trapped in a life of looking good on the outside and putting in a smile and going to parties. But when they're alone in their bedroom, they have to drink or they have to medicate because something feels off. So the first thing is to have enough quiet in your life to start contemplating, like, why don't I feel joy?
Right.
And that's the first thing. And then what I teach with women through my spiritual community is, like, you have to rebuild, or you got to build from the ground up. So if your foundation of your life is full of cracks and not aligned with your values and has no integrity, you can't achieve real success. You can get facade, fake intellectual success, but your personal life will not be full of joy, fulfillment, peace. So it's like you have to rebuild at the foundation level. So it's like you got to start developing order. And that comes from, do I have real friends who love me unconditionally, even if I'm a jerk one day or say the wrong thing? Am I in a relationship that's unconditionally loving, or do I have to look a certain way or act a certain way to, for it to be okay? Do I love where I live? Is my day filled with meaning, and are my activities every day aligned with my values? For most women, it's no. It's just dealing with this. It's like, oh my God. So we stay distracted, busy, and in a bit of quiet desperation. So having a mentor is really important for these things. But I think the great thing about these times is women, a lot of them are so broken, they're cracking open. One of my mentors said, you get crushed into fine wine. And that's the spiritual path, right? Yeah. If you are an awake, an open, beautiful spiritual being, it's inevitable that you're going to get crushed into fine wine. But having mentors that have been there, that are like, this is how you navigate this, and this is normal, and just keep moving. It's important. And it's really, you don't need 100 friends, but you need somebody who has your back, who loves you, even if you're a hot disaster, And most women don't have a lot of unconditionally loving friends. They have friends who want something, or they love them as long there's conditions, right? And that's harming the woman. That is harmful to the archetype of the woman.
Well, and a couple of things as you're talking about mentor and friends, and it's not just even like having fewer friends that love you unconditionally, but also like the quality of your friends. Because there can be some friends, as you know, like that could just like be like, I don't care what she does. I love you regardless. And yet they are not the type of people that are going to help elevate and actually support you to getting where you want to go. And oftentimes, so many of our family and friends are the very ones that squash the dreams or squash the calling that you feel like this burning in you. And that's out of love. It's a safety mechanism, right? Which we could get into that as well, like the psychology with that, but that is really their brains trying to protect you from failing, and not wanting to see you hurt, when really you staying in that space is actually what's going to quench your spirit.
Yes. And we're in a place right now where we don't have the luxury of time right now. Like,
Right.
Women have to make really spiritual, mature decisions. There's no time to put off your true path, to be spending time with people who don't lift you up. Like, if your circle doesn't lift you up, you shouldn't be there. And what's happening now is the body is speaking so loudly. Like, I know instantly if I'm in a room and I'm not supposed to be there, like, I no longer have bandwidth to spend more than about 20 minutes in like a superficial environment that doesn't feel true. And I wasn't like that 2 years ago. But it's like my well-being, my highest health, and my soul path is way more important than me being liked and looking good. And that does take a little bit of a you can't care anymore, right? This is the moment we're in for women. You're kind of in a fork in the road where you're picking your path.
Right.
And a lot of women are like, I can't handle the awakened path. And I'm okay with that. And so I'm going to choose like some addictions, wine, work, tech, cell phone, but they're okay with it to some extent because the other part is too overwhelming.
Sure.
But for the women listening to your podcast, they've probably already selected the awakened highest path for them and they want to see what they're made of. And for those women listening, you have to make really important choices right now. There's not a luxury of time. You don't have a year. Like, you have to make instant choices that are in your highest health, that are in your spiritual highest benefit. And you need to help humanity. Like, this is where we are right now. And this is, I think for me, like I kind of thought, I retired somewhat when I was about 35, had my kids, stayed home, but I'm like, I got to get back out there because we're in a bad state. Like, women are harmed, and our work now, anyone, doesn't matter if you have a product, a service, your work is to now help women rise.
I love that. Okay. There's so much here that you've just said that I'm like, I really want to unpack, because time is a non-renewable resource. It is really the currency of luxury,
yes.
Right? Like, most people, when they're like, I want to be financially free, sure, there's material stuff that there's some people that want that. But really, if you were to sit with most of those people and break that down, it's because they want to have more time, time with their kids, time on the yacht, just time to enjoy whatever. Right. But the way that you're speaking about it is with such conviction that it actually feels for me that it goes beyond. Like, there's like this urgency that's coming through in your voice.
Huge. And I usually don't talk to this, but this is like this is really pivotal times. And a lot of, because we are distracted and we have our job and our kids and we might not feel it, but it's why most women have acute anxiety. And now it's chronic anxiety. It's because the female nervous system knows something is happening. And we are, we're getting it labeled as anxiety or whatever, but it's like, no, it's way deeper than that. That's physical level. Yes, it's showing up there. Women know something's going on in the planet and that we need to like step into our power. And yes, like you said, for me, financial freedom was my first thing, but really what I wanted was time and emotional freedom. Right. It's just hard to get the time and emotional freedom if you don't have the financial freedom.
Of course. Yeah.
But time and health. And I think it's really important that women listening, like, you should be extremely clear what your three most precious values are. For me, family, freedom, and health. Like, I knew that when I was 28. Most women are not even trained to figure that out until they're 60.
Totally. I agree. Yeah.
So you have to know that right now. You have to make sure you're surrounded by people who are lifting you up. And it's a clearing time, like, clear what is not serving you. And that's, house, your physical stuff, like your hoardy stuff, clear that because that's the easiest. But you do have to clear relationships that are bringing you down. Where are you inauthentic in your life? Like, where do you have to put on a show to be liked or accepted. You don't have time for that anymore.
Yeah.
And for me, that's my work. It's like, I don't have time for the small talk, the superficial anymore. And I used to tolerate it just to fit in and be liked. But I'm like, I see the world around me and how broken women are. Like every day I get a text from a woman who literally has emotionally fractured. Mm-hmm. And this is not okay. And this is happening. And for me, I see it daily, but it's happening all over the world. And it's because something is wrong. Like the way women are living and the way women have been conditioned to live it's completely the opposite of how their spiritual soul development works.
Right. Okay. But break that down. Like when you talk about the conditioning and how we've been brought up to live, how has that been and how should it be?
Well, we're conditioned in our bodies, and this isn't just in our lifetime, but we are conditioned in our DNA to be wired to live from a place of fear. Mm-hmm. So our whole life, if we unpack, like me too, right? If we unpack all the decisions we make, we stay in a little box because we have a deep seated, like in the fascia, in the psoas, mm-hmm. there is fear stuck there, but it's generational. So we're probably carrying the fears and the traumas of 4 generations above us on our mother's side.
Right.
This generation, spiritually, we're breaking the pattern. And this is why for women in this generation, like you and I, we're raising children. Not everyone's raising children, but we're raising children. But we're also breaking generational patterns of leading from a place of fear, loss of security. So that's our work. And this is like a heavy load.
Yeah.
It's a heavy load and most people don't get it, but the intuitives, the empaths, the highly sensitive women, there's a knowing. It's like, I'm the pattern breaker person in my family, and this is major work. So multitasking is not really ideal for this generation, unfortunately.
And because that brings on further anxiety.
And it distracts us away from our real work, which is we're here to elevate humanity out of that consciousness and into a higher consciousness of unconditional love and compassion. Like this is where the planet is moving. So It's bringing humans with it, but a lot of people are blocking that. They're like, no, I want my old life to stay the same. I want to be a workaholic. I want to make a ton of cash so I can buy a ton of cars and look pretty and fit in. So that's okay. It's not wrong.
Right.
But a lot of people are like, I like the old consciousness and that's okay. But there's a group of individuals globally they know they're here to be the leaders of this new level. And I'm spiritual, but I'm also very grounded. So it's like, that means you have to let go of a lot of the baggage that you carried in that. Like I hit the top of my last consciousness mountain. I had my dream house. I was basically raising my kids. Everything was great, but I'm like, there's something missing. And for me, it was like, how am I serving humanity?
Right.
And that's the questions of the women of this time. Mm-hmm. If I'm not lifting women up and serving humanity, something in me feels off. Not everybody, but the selected ones that are listening to this, they probably have a bigger calling and to be more in a spiritual leadership role. They can still be like an interior designer, a lawyer. It doesn't matter what you do for your job, but you have a bigger purpose to your field is here to shine a very special light. And to become that fully expressive soul, you have to do scary things. And you can't care what people think. No. You have to go to bed every night being like, I'm so deeply authentic. I'm not living fake anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. So what does that look like? I'm like, there's so much here still. I'm like, I have like 18 questions.
Let's bring it down.
I'm like, I want to ask you. When I think about, let's call it like spiritual entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Like, and most people have those as 2 different silos, right? Like, and a lot of people, whether you want to call it faith, religion, spirituality, it's oftentimes reserved for a day or two out of the week, as opposed to embodying it on a daily. And so what does that look like when you think of women who are being called to rise, and we're talking about elevating consciousness of humanity? It's inevitable that you literally cannot separate the two, that they actually have to be woven together on a daily, and it becomes the fabric of whatever your work is that you're doing. Like you said, whether you're a doctor or lawyer, which could actually be harder for, I think, some people to conceptualize. It's easier if, in this concept we're talking about, if we're talking about a yoga teacher, right? Like if you have a yoga studio, or like you're a life coach, like that would be easier to see how the fabric, it would be woven into that fabric. So what does that look like in practice?
It's a great question. And I think to make it simple for anyone who, like, some people think this, like you said, entrepreneurship and spirituality are separate, but people are starting to get that. Here's the thing. It's, you either have a really brilliant magnetic aura or you don't. And you can tell the difference when you meet a lawyer who has a activated aura, who's living their soul purpose and is in integrity. There's something about them. It's that person in the room that you're like, I want to do business with that person. It's not necessarily what they say.
Right.
It's, so you can't cheat the system.
Right.
Right. So we want this. And for me, like, I've always had this ability to feel people's fields. It's like, it's that something everyone wants and reads all the books to get. You can't get that without understanding the spiritual sciences and starting to apply them. So to keep it simple, you ask, okay, well, where do you start? Well, my mentor, she always told me, like, if your breath is dysfunctional, your life is dysfunctional. And this is why breath work is such a thing now. But if you're not breathing well, or you don't take a few minutes to deep breathe many times a day or a few times a day, that's the easiest thing to start doing, because you're blocking life force and you're also blocking the communication with your soul and with the higher insights, like the downloads. Carl Jung called it synchronicity. If you want to live that way, like, he was very self-actualized. So he understood that if you don't have spiritual practices, you'll never be in synchronicity. You're going to hustle your whole life and burn yourself out. Right. So breath work, either a prayer or meditation practice, it doesn't have to be a half hour, but there has to be, like, for me, I do my prayer practice as I walk. It just feels right to me. I need to be in movement.
Right.
So that, but the women that I mentor, it's non-negotiable. Like, if you're spending you're like, well, I'm too busy. I got to get through all my emails and see 20 clients today. It's like, then you're going to live shitty.
No kidding.
So you got to make the decision.
Yeah.
So you can no longer prioritize. You're the transactional woman who's miserable and his field is completely dull. Who wants that?
Yeah.
But you have a lot of money and you've got the award.
Right.
Who cares? Women want to have the field that's beautiful and glowing and magnetic, so that joy, like, shines out of their body. Then your spiritual practices have to be more important than your transactional stuff. It doesn't have to be 3 hours a day. No. But it has to be weaved into the day, where before a webinar, you do a little bit of breath work. You move your body every day, but it's no longer, I got to go to the gym. It's I need to shake off other people's shit energy off my field. And I need to, for empaths, that's the thing. You got to get other people's stuff off of your field every day.
I agree. Yeah.
And then, having, those are some things, but, like, then there's other practices in terms of nutrition. Like, I teach spiritual nutrition because it's no longer about, I think we've evolved even past holistic nutrition. There are practices that will help elevate, but to get started, it's like, get clear on, like, what isn't working. Make a list of all the things that are making you feel or nauseous. Yeah. And start creating a little bit of order every day and start doing some breath work. That's, like, the best way to start. Super easy.
Mm-hmm. I love that you are bringing in the breath, because it is free. Mm-hmm. Right? There's no excuse that you can't afford it. And it's always available to you.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's not like, I don't have time to get to the gym today, whatever it is, we carry it with us all the time. And I cold plunge a lot. I actually just did my first cold plunge since, before being pregnant, and obviously you can't do cold plunge while you're pregnant. So, and I did a video on my Instagram, and it's in my highlights still, talking about the importance of coming to your breath, and that your breath will guide you through all of it. And it took, like, normally I'll go and do a cold plunge and I'll be like anywhere between like 3 to 5 minutes. Like the health benefits and the sweet spots start at happen between that 2.5, 3 minute mark. So that's always, like, for me, the minimum. Everything else after that is mental, can become a little more ego, like pat on your back, like, like sometimes when, and
like
it's
a yoga practice, right?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like a power yoga practice.
Some guys that will be like, oh yeah, I did 7 minutes. I'm like, well, you really don't need to do that, but pat on the back. Good for you. But all that to say, like, it is incredible when you go do a cold plunge. And this is like a very tangible exercise that you could do to watch the power of your breath, to really understand. Because even some people, I remember breath work before I even started cold plunging, that I'd be like, so ridiculous. Like, I'm going to go sit and pay and be in a class to do like breath work for 30 minutes. Like, and I felt the same way about yoga in the beginning. I wanted speed yoga. I was like, oh my God, like, who wants to be still for 30 minutes? And anybody who can relate and that resonates with you, you need to do yoga and you need to do breath work. Yeah. Those of us who say that, you're the one that needs it the most. And I was that person. And I remember being like, breath work, like, this sounds so crazy. Like, I'm going to pay somebody to like guide me through my own breathing, and not understanding the weight and the importance of it. And cold plunging is one of the most tangible exercises that you can do, where you can see how the power of your breath actually grounds you and calms you, makes you feel safe.
Yes.
Because that's the fight or flight. The moment your body starts to get into that cold water, it's like, oh my God, this is not good. This is not safe. This is not okay. The body starts feeling pain, like more fight or flight. And in tapping into your breath, and I guide, not like professionally, but like, friends of mine who are like, I can never do that. I'm like, just give me one cold plunge, just one. Yeah. And I will guide you through it. I will be there with you, and you can do it. And it's your breath, not mine. Like, you still have to do the work. And people are always so amazed that, they're like, okay, I'm going to go on for 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, no problem. And I don't tell them the time. I just keep coaching and guiding them through it, but with their breath. And then when it feels like they've settled and they're calm and it's all under control and they're still aligned with their breath, they're shocked when they're like at 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, would you like to keep going? Obviously, some say yes, some say no, and that's totally fine. Yeah. The point is you realize there that your breath has this incredible ability to not just ground you, but recalibrate everything that feels unbalanced and feels unnerved in your system. So I love that you brought that up.
And it's funny, as raising kids, right? Like, moms are so obsessed with them walking and meeting, but no one's like focusing on let's just let them breathe well as they grow. Like, yes, obviously when they're young, but that focus stops. And then you get kids who are 8, 9, and 10 who have anxiety. And it's like, there's no focus on the breath. The focus is all on the intellect and making sure they meet all the other physical standards, where really our focus should be on keeping these beautiful children breathing well through the ages into their teens. It's just not, now obviously with breath work, it's starting to be more prioritized, which is amazing. Yeah. And I hope that continues.
Yeah. Well, it's become a little more mainstreamy, which I know for people like you and myself, I don't love that, but the practice is, people becoming aware that it's another modality, right? It's another tool that can really enable and elevate your entire state.
Yes.
And so, it's important to do. If this episode is bringing you value, can I please ask you for 30 seconds of your time to subscribe to the show from wherever you're tuning in from? Leave a review and share this episode. This is how we amplify the message, we grow the show, and we multiply the impact for women. Lee, I want to come back to this urgency of time because I asked you about this and I'm like, I still really want to know, like, you have this urgency of time, basically making it sound like we don't have time to waste. Not that you should do that, right? Because it's precious. We talked about that earlier, but there is this urgency about not allowing any more time to pass in order to get things straight and get on this path. Why is that? Why is time so urgent?
Well, I think it's obvious. It's aligning with the timing of like we're entering this golden age, right? Where there's those go time moments where it's way bigger than us. Mm-hmm. The planet is like, it's go time, activating the ones who are wanting to and have put their hand up. Like, I'm in for this elevated journey. 2025 is this activation year where there isn't time. Like, it's like your soul. This is what I explain it as in 2025. Our intellect has been in the driver's seat. And obviously a lot of us have brought in some spiritual modalities, but really our intellect has been conditioned to lead. What's happening now is the soul's like, move over. I'm taking over. The intellect does not like that, but that's 2025. And so there are many people who are like, soul, no, I don't even chat with you. Mm-hmm. That the intellect is going to keep leading my life. I'm going to keep my job the way it is. I'm not changing much. I'm just going to keep my life the same. And that's okay. But they're still feeling it. Right. So they're going to have more addictions to be able to suppress it.
Right.
For those of us who are like, I'm in for the ride, this is 2025. The soul's taking over. So what the soul is saying is like, you got limited time to get your shit together spiritually. Your moral compass has to be solid. You got to get back to integrity. You have to stop living inauthentic. You can't have fake friends. You can't be around people who are not lifting you up. The soul is trying to clean you up to be living probably in a way you've never experienced before. But it's such a higher quality level of life. You can't get to highest health without doing this work. You can't biohack your way to that kind of health.
Right.
So that's what people are doing. Like, they're overly obsessing about biohacking and trends, but your aura is not going to glow. Mm-hmm. You might have muscles and be a little detoxed, but to get to what you want, right, you got to let the soul be in charge, and you have to clean your life up in a way that aligns with natural law. And that means you have to live more purely, more authentically, more in integrity. It's great. It's great to live in abundance, but it must be aligned with your truth, with raising humanity up. It's no longer about making a product that's going to make you a ton of cash or having a business that has a great ROI. If it doesn't move humanity forward, there's not in a consciousness state, there's no place for that.
Right.
Yes, they're still going to show up, those products and services, but we see the bigger picture of, we want this planet to move, to ascend, not to break.
Go to shit. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
So, and you believe that this really is the future for women in business?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for women who want to be deeply fulfilled and authentically happy.
Right.
There's no other way. I mean,
so interesting.
There's no other way. And who doesn't want to go to bed at night being like, I'm so true?
No,
I exude health. I exude joy. Your kids feel it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Big time.
Instead of holding it together all the time because I'm so distracted, I got 400 things to do. I got to make my money. I got to be here. I got to be there. Oh my gosh. And then I fake like I'm so put together for my kids. Like, that doesn't work anymore. The kids then suffer because they feel the energy of the mother that is inauthentically faking being put together. And so then they play that out through their own nervous system being in distress.
It's so true. So true. We talked about like what's happening. Well, you brought up like what's happening in the world on a deeper level. Like what do you, I mean, you have a different, you operate at a much higher level. And so when you've done the work and you're really aligned and tapped in and tuned in, not just to yourself, but to like, you can call it source, you can call it God, but the outer layer that like we can't see, right? The dimension that we can't see. And obviously this is like in your work, but like, where do you see the world going?
I think right now it's decision-making time for women on what legacy do they want to leave. Like, I'm big on legacy, and I don't just mean cash. What I look at it as, your beautiful energy should be circulating the planet twice a day. That's legacy. So you might not live in Botswana, but your heart field is so open. Your truth and your authentic voice is so in the world that you're actually impacting the other side of the planet. That's legacy. People talk about it just as cash and assets, but that's so passé. That's so dinosaur age. Yeah. We need to start talking about like the energy you leave or you put out in the planet daily when you're still alive is legacy, but also the heart energy you leave sprinkled on the planet when you pass away. And I think this is the pivotal year, probably next year too, of women we have free will. So we have to choose. Do we want to just focus on cash, being a transactional woman that worked their butt off and dies in energy deficit burnout? Or do we want to be part of this new humanity, this new human family that is living in alignment with truth and natural law and leaves beauty for our children and for the next generation? So I do think this is like a year of, you got to decide, but I don't think you have to decide. This is kind of the year of like, you can't, because again, your life is going by, and if you're living out of alignment with your soul, like, you're never going to find highest health and happiness.
Yeah, I agree. It's so powerful. I mean, there's so much, like, even like, as a practice, I would say, is just like open writing or like open journaling, right? Like, just put pen to paper and things that are coming up. Like, I think that's a very good exercise to do after this conversation, and just doing like a soul dump. And like you already did talk about, like, anything that feels icky, feels stuck, does not feel aligned, like there's no enjoyment, is draining, energy sucking, like writing that all down. And then like what would feel good in your body and what life would look like and how that would show up, how that would manifest.
Yeah. There's also, for anyone listening who's like, yeah, like I need to get my shit together, and like I'm living okay, like things are functioning, but I can't catch up, or I'm always feeling like a bit of a facade. Like I want to see what I'm meant to be. And 3 questions that I found helpful, and I do a lot with clients, is just journaling the answers to these 3. Who am I? That's like, who am I at the soul level? Why am I here? So that would be like, if you're the most beautiful, heart nurturing nurse type of energy, and you're here to just nurture everybody. Why am I here? And the third one is, why does the world need me now? Because that starts to open the conversation with the soul, because a lot of people, you don't get trained how to do that unless you've had like mystical mentors or, but we're not, the faculties, the higher mind faculties, which I call the super mind, has not been developed in women. So a lot of them are like, oh, yeah, I'm in the intellect trap where I'm just trying to make cash and look good, and it's so boring and I'm miserable. And I'm addicted to everything, microdosing wine. I'm addicted to my cell phone. I'm addicted to scrolling. Get me out of this trap. That's the intellect trap. That's how we're conditioned, but it can't get you to the next level. So the only way to move to the next level is to go up to the supermind, but no women don't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. So yes, breath work is the starting point, but it's just the beginning.
Totally. This is so good. And I feel this is actually like a really beautiful segue kind of into wrapping up because one of the things I always do the wealth drop, which kind of like the mic drop, the wealth drop on the podcast. And I think what you just shared is like the prelude to the question, which is, what's one piece of wealth wisdom you would pass down to the next generation of women?
So this is a little bit of maybe a couple sentence answer.
Yeah.
But even though it's only a chapter in my book, I call it the 4 pillars of beautiful money, because I knew as a kid, like I watched a lot of wealthy people, and a lot of them, their personal lives were not true. And I was like, they don't forgive people and they're not kind. And I was like, something's wrong with this model. And so the 4 pillars, when you're wanting to build abundance, which is so beautiful and important, go through the 4 pillars to make sure you can check them all off. So when you're looking at an income stream or a business or a project, look at, do I love it? And does this put more of my heart into the world? So you gotta be connected to it at the heart level, or it's a no. Right. In these times, 10 years ago, do whatever you want. Number 2 is, does this add to my great legacy? So this is where you look at, does it have a passive income stream? Does it work with a trust? Am I putting products out there that are evergreen, podcasts, books? This is part of your model, is like, my kids will be able to, read my book in Japanese if they want, so you think about, does this add to my legacy in a way that feels powerful and true? Do I have leverage? So this is where most women get caught in, just, you and I could talk about this all day long, but most women get caught in just a linear income. So what happens if you have to take care of your parents because they're ill? What happens if you get sick? Your money is stopped. And people don't think about that until it happens, and then they panic. So you want to make sure that there's leverage in your income stream or business so that it's not just tied to your time. That's so critical. Like, most women should be looking at 8 to 10 income streams.
Right.
Not just one.
Yeah.
And last, does it challenge you to develop you into your greatest you, your spiritual leadership, right? Because you don't have that when things are going well. And sometimes you get to a point in your life where you're good at your business and everyone sees you as the expert. You're kind of coasting a little bit. You're not developing your next level of spiritual leadership unless you're getting crushed a little bit.
Right.
So you want to have an income stream or a business model that's going to challenge you to be your best, and not just intellectually. Mm-hmm. There's a lack of women leading in the world who are exuding correctness. There's a lot of business successful women, but when I talk about correctness, you look at them in their field is next level. Like, how many women do you know that you feel that way about? There's very few.
Sure, I agree.
So this is the opportunity for women to be like, I want to be that leader.
I love that. So good. There's a lot to absorb from the call. No, it's hopefully true though. And this is part of why I wanted to have you on. You and I, we've actually only met once in person, and we've had multiple conversations, and they've never been surface level, which is why I wanted you to come on to the podcast, because our conversations have always been so elevated, heartfelt, deep, moving and shaking, like, even myself, like, yeah, like you're speaking to whoever's listening. And at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I also need this too. And this is the beauty of how the work never ends, because you can still know something. Like there's certain things that you've said that I'm like, yeah, yes, I know. And I'm also at a different place in my life, especially now, like as a mom. So even there's certain things that you're talking about around legacy, which of course is kind of all over my Instagram right now, because legacy has always been important to me. Even my work with Freedom and my nonprofit and like what I've done for basically 30 years. But now this it's just gone expansive and a lot deeper. And so even as you're talking about legacy from a different perspective, and being a mom who has children much older than me, and you've been a mom longer than me, it hits differently right now. So even though I've known it, I'm a new version of myself.
So, and if I can leave with two things, there are two things women are being called to face right now. One is you explained it, to embody your greatest values. Because a lot of women, they love health, they love nutrition, whatever. We're now moving to, I am embodying it. So it doesn't matter what I say. Right. I got to be the walking, you don't have to be perfect, but you embody what's most important to you. That's the shift happening. It's not in the head anymore. It's dropping down to the body. So a lot of women are feeling, now's my year. That's why they're feeling that way. And second is, most women are this year facing their greatest fear. And they might be like, oh, my life's falling apart. It's going to shit. What's happening? It's all timed perfectly. But if it's fear of losing health, fear of losing money, fear of losing relationship, it's happening because we got to get the fear out of the body and start living in our true power, where there can't be space. Yes, we'll have little fears to keep us safe, but we can't be keeping that pattern of making decisions from a deep-rooted subconscious place of fear anymore.
I love it. Lee, thank you.
But I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me on and listening to me ramble for.
No, it's not ramble. Like literally it's so good. And it resonates for me, and I think it's all true. And there's a lot of wisdom in what you've said. And and I talk about this on, in other places as well, but really like, this is what it's like when you are living, not just with alignment, but with intention, and not allowing life to happen to you, but recognizing it's happening for you. And even with what you said, with some of these things that might be happening that you're like, why are things falling apart? It's happening for you. And oftentimes there's a lesson you need to learn, and also a redirection. Yeah. To put you on the path that's actually meant for you, that is for your highest good.
Which is where all the abundance is, which is where all the health is. But we got to get through the little cave and clean up our cobwebs.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's going to be in the show notes, but tell everyone how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can check me out on Instagram, Lee Marie Jacobs, or if you are looking for some spiritual mentorship, I have a beautiful community called Spiritual Society, and we mentor women around the world because again, you need support with this journey. It's not easy.
No. Well, everyone connect with Lee. She is amazing. And I know her DMs are always open as well. So make sure to give her a follow and connect. And thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Take care, everyone.
I have to say, I'm leaving this episode today myself feeling so inspired. I'm going to get out my journal and spend some time doing the work around what we talked about today. And I hope you feel that spark too. If something landed for you, a shift, an insight, even just a moment where you thought, yes, this is exactly what I needed to hear, I would love to know that and hear from you. Drop me a DM, and you can share this episode on Instagram. You could tag both of us and tell us your biggest takeaway, because these conversations aren't just about listening. They're about activating something new in each of us. And I cannot wait to hear what that looks like for you. If something in today's episode resonated with you or sparked a shift, tag me on IG or send me a DM. I genuinely love hearing what lands for you. And if it spoke to you, share it or leave a quick review. It helps more women find this show and step into their own wealthy era. Until next time, lead with purpose, live with intention, and stay wealthy.